Hi, and thanks for joining me. My name is Dave, and here we go with D-Day plus two. I'm here to apologise, really. On Sunday, when I started the work, everything got out of hand, and in the end, I had to give up because I had 3 stripped rocker cover bolts or cam cover bolts, and I needed to fix that, and we fixed that today. However, the video went on because the valve clearances took me so long. So I decided that I'd do the injector video first, and I'll do the valve clearances, and I'll add the rocker cover repair to the end of it. And hopefully it won't be too long. So let's get on with that, and I apologise again for splitting the video up. These things always take longer than you expect them to, and this is no exception. Let's get going. I've managed to check 3 out of the 4 on each side. They're all a bit... So what I'm trying to do now is turn the engine over. I need to put that socket over at an angle. Get my hand down into there. That'll be good. To turn the engine over, you need a 24mm socket and wrench onto the crank pulley down there. Now that's got number 1 inlet up, so let's check that. Inlets have to be 15. Problem with the feeler gauge is you've got to make sure you don't have a little thin feeler gauge right underneath where you want to be. It'll fool you if you do. 15. That won't go in, that won't go in. Right, so what we have to do now is go down to say 10 and check it again. Hopefully that's 10. So we'll check on with 10. See if 10 will fit in. Nope, 10 won't fit in either. So we'll try the nearest we can to 10, which will be about 8 or 7. We have an 8. An 8 won't go in. 6 won't go in. 6 goes in number 2. I think 6 is a 7, but number 1 is tighter than that. So we might go down to 5. There's a 4. 5 won't even go in that. Right, so we're going to have to change that one. That's got to be changed. 4 won't even go in it. So that's a 7. Going to be pushed down. I'm getting a bit frustrated here. I've taken the airbox cover off, but take the clips off if you do that, because otherwise they'll drop off and you'll never see them again. Right, let's get on with this. What I need to do is get cylinder number 1 compression. What I'm trying to do is extend the ratchet, but still have the ratchet operation. What I'm looking for now is for number 1 cylinder to go compress the valves, and it's just coming round to it now. This is taking all my concentration. I'm sorry if I've gone quiet. So what I need to do now is I need to get a better light than that for a start. I've been messing about with these shims trying to get them out, and I couldn't, and I realised what the problem was, that the tool we were using was slightly too wide. It had started to buckle under the strain. The metal had started to spread, so I ground it down a little bit, and now it's working. One thing to note is when you do the shims, there is a slight groove in the front there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see the groove. It's down there. Look, can you see it? Well, when the cam is when it's off the cam and off the lobe, you can spin the buckets and pull them to the front. So you need to do that because you need to put a tool. I hammered down a bit of flat piece of welding rod to pop in there and get them out. Okay, so just bear that in mind if you're going to have a go at this. You need to do that. Check my sheet. You need to write down your measurements if you've done any. Okay, so 8 and 7 on those 2. What the tool does, this is the tool here, and it holds the cams, the buckets down when the cams are, see how these buckets are up here? Well, those will need to be held down like these two, and that's what this tool does, so that you can remove the shims. You know, I love gravity. Stops you floating off into space, but it's a pain in the butt sometimes when things keep falling down. Anyway, what I need to do now is I need to remove the tool. A word of warning for you guys: when you're doing this, you're turning the engine over using the crank pulley. Don't go mad, because what happens is when you trap the valves down and the piston's coming up, it will hit the valves if you go too far, and if you're going too fast you might bend the valve. So just bear that in mind when you're doing this. If you feel the engine stick, don't force it. So I'm going to do the next two. This is the homemade tool we're using, and it was these edges here that were burning out, and it started to happen again, even though it is the roughest piece of bloody crap you've ever seen in your life. But it does work. It does work. Let's get the engine round to where we can do the next two. It'll only hit the valves when you've got the tool in place. When the tool's not in place, you ain't going to hit the valves. What I'm doing is I'm turning the engine over completely so I can get number one and number two up on off the cam, so that I can measure them and make sure they're correct, and then I can keep going. Here's a recommendation. I've got a big bunch of feeler gauges here. Thickness gauges sometimes they're called, but they're not called thickness gauges, they're called feeler gauges, because you feel the gap. These ones are Rob's. These are much thinner. I'm going to buy a set of these. These are ideal for what we're doing. They've got a 30, a 20, a 10, a 15, and we can make any number up down to about 0.4. Right, that fits in. That fits in nicely. We're plus or minus 5, so we don't want a 20 to fit in. Here's the 20. Doesn't go in there. Doesn't go in there. They're within spec. So these next two, these are out of spec. As soon as the cam buckets get to the bottom, we put this tool in here. And what it does, fits on either side of the cams, on either side of the buckets, but just inside the shims. And then what you do is you keep the engine rotating, and as the bucket comes up, it gets caught against the camshaft. I've got to get this past top dead centre, and once the valve opens, we're free to turn. And before I go any further, I'm just going to check that they are free to release, because if they're not, I'm going to have to go back. Now I can see it's jammed it. I did right to check it. Well, I've now been at this for 5 hours. I've done 1 injector and 4 shims. It's not that it's a hard job. It's just a lot of toing and froing. And if I could keep this socket on this bloody nut, it'll be a damn sight quicker. But I can't. This keeps coming off. Unless I'm keeping hold of it now, it's not falling through all the time. Right. In getting that down, we've got number 3 cylinder in the right position too. We've got them in a good position to check them with the gauges. So 15 first, and if either of them are 15, I'll eat my hat. Well, that's not, and that's not. So I'm not eating my hat today, guys. The next one to check is 10. 10 goes in that one. It almost goes in that one. So I reckon that's a 9. So I'm going to do it because I'm here, and that's what we do. We'll keep going as we were. I'd much rather go downwards, to be honest. I'm going to change it to downwards and go downwards. I mean, 15 to go in and 23 tight. 15 just goes in that one. Doesn't quite go in that one. It's slightly less, but that's fine. As long as the 10 goes in. So we'll try the 10. 10 easy goes in there, and both of them, so that's fine. They're good to go. Next one. Okay, so while you lot have been away, I've been working hard. That didn't work, so I went back to the old one and I've managed to get it done. I've used the shims that I had. These last two on cylinder 4 were absolutely way out. They were less than 4 mil, so I had to do something with them. I put the smallest shims in I had. I can get 10 in now. But they're not 15, but they're 10 at least. Probably about 12. They're okay. So now we've got that sorted. I'm hoping the exhaust sides are okay. I don't really want to start again and keep going. I'm now going to clean up the head so the rocker cover can go back on and start assembling it on. Okay, first things first, we need to wipe down the head, see what we need to do to get this clean, to get this back together. There's a bit of silicone there. That's not bad actually. There's a lot of silicone in here. That'll need to come out. I've got new half moon seals, so I don't need to clean them. Got a helicoil in there which is sticking out, which is not good. What else have I got? Got this side, I've got silicone on this side. Right, let's start cleaning it up. This is where the half moon seal for the injector harness goes, and it's pretty grotty. I'm going to have to clean that out somehow. I'll go up with, maybe I'll use this pick. This is always the worst bit, cleaning the old silicone off. I hate doing this, but it's something that needs to be done. There's silicone on here from years ago. Must get it all off, I reckon. Well, I'm looking at the rocker cover. I've put the new high pressure oil pipe seal in. The old one didn't look too bad, but it's obviously old, so I'll go over there with them. And I don't reckon that these have ever been changed. Look at the state of that. And I've got a bag full of new ones. So I'm happy with that. And those half moon seals to go in. Now these fit really well. That's nice. And of course that gives you spare ones for the top, because you just get enough to put around the rocker cover. So all the ones you took out are now spares for the ones that don't do any sealing. And this doesn't really. It's done it back up. But I now put these in this bag and say adios to some of them. Some of them don't look too bad, but the majority of them had it. Okay, so now's the time we put the rocker cover gasket into there. I'm going to silicone it in, and that's the first job. Let it set for a little while. So let me grab my silicone gun. This is what I use for gasket. Vermitex, the right stuff. Good stuff. That's like $50 for a tube that big, and it isn't that full. There's 147 mil in it, which is not a huge amount. Anyway, it is what it is. Stick it in there. We want to get this up. Alright, so now we're ready. So I've left it on the smallest hole. So I don't want a huge amount of silicone in here. It's really just to hold the gasket in place. It's also worthwhile getting the kit, because when you get those new bolt affairs that we've just put in, the gasket fits over them really well, and it holds it in place, along with a bit of silicone, just in case silicone, not a lot, just a small amount. And there we go. So that piece there is what seals over the top of the half moon for the injector harness. So just bear that in mind. Alright. So that's that in place. To make sure it's right down everywhere. What we'll do now is I'll show you where you need to silicone in the top. Now there are three places that definitely need to be, I mean, you need to silicone the whole surfaces, all the surfaces. But you need silicone in here where the half moon seal goes, you need silicone in there where the two half moon seals go, and you need silicone here and here where the two pieces of metal join, because oil can permeate through that and it will leak. So you need gasket sealer there too. Right. So what we need to do first is we need to clean up the injector harness half moon. So what I was going to say was, putting minimal amounts of silicone on in the right places pays dividends when it comes to cleaning it up in the end. Because I don't have to do too much to this, because it's pretty clean as it is. I've given the injector harness components a good douse in a brake cleaner. Get some of the dirt and grime off them. I'm going to put contact cleaner in the plugs before I reassemble them, and some looking good. So what we'll do now is we'll silicone the head, and then we'll reattach the harness, and then we'll put the rocker cover on. So let's do that. So first things first, we need to silicone inside the half moon. Don't go mad with this. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Alright, got some all over my finger now, that's useful. It just wipes off, that's good. We've got to do the rear half moon seals and put them in place. So let's grab them. Where have I put them? I'll let you see what I'm doing. I'm going to silicone this, like so, and then the remainder I'm going to silicone onto the top, because that's the bit that leaks when it doesn't go in properly. Do the same thing again. That one's in. So the next job is to silicone around the head. First things first, we silicone this area here. Not too much, just enough to fill that gap in the corner there. And just make sure it's in there and there. That's it, that's good. So the rest of it now is just to silicone around the back of the head, all around the edges and everything. We just need to put some around the back on top of the silicone seals. Oh my good. Okay. Let's see how we go with that now. Let's put we need to put the harness back in first. Where's that? There. I'll put a bit of silicone onto the harness itself. Not a huge amount, just enough to seal it. And we'll fit the half moon in to its hole, and we've got the silicone over the top of that before we can do anything else. So let's clip these up, and then these into there. We're all good. Let's get some bolts in. So it's at this point where I have problems with stripped cam cover bolts. And so the following video shows you us repairing that. The back far corner one that we thought were gone was threads missing from the bolt. When we put a new bolt in, that tightened down okay. So we only had two to repair and one thread to clean up. So here goes. How far do you think it's gone in?
As far as I've drilled it. I think we're now cutting into the smaller hole. I'm not going to do that.
Is it enough for the helicoil? That's the...
I'll find out.
I don't want to blast it out again. There's a bit of air pressure now.
Good.
Yeah. Well, it cleaned it out because there was stuff everywhere. It went all over me. Is it going in?
I think so. Hold on.
Was that your phone? Or was it my stomach?
It didn't vibrate in my pocket, but
It's still going?
it's tight.
Well, it would get tight, wouldn't it? Are we going to snap the tang off it though?
Yeah. But it went in and then it went tight. Way too tight.
What? It's not far enough in, you mean?
No. It's barely in at all.
Underneath. You got a step? Yeah, Rob.
You'll be able to see what's
Put
happening.
the step down there, so don't be careful when you go down. No helicoil.
Yeah, because the bit snapped off.
That'll be like from tight. The end spread a bit, so it's probably catching in the hole.
No. Well, that's a prick. I'm going to get that out of there.
Can you get all of it along those pliers? If you can get a grip of it, you can just pull it straight out. It'll stretch it and it'll.
It's in the thread a little bit.
But it snapped off. Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to snap off till it gets further down.
Third time's the charm with these things, isn't it?
You would hope so. So if it does that.
It's a bit knackered, but it should still work.
Maybe clamp it up a little bit, it might hold it a bit better.
I think it was just how it went in the thread.
Maybe just the helicoil was a weak one or something. Is it straight? Maybe it's falling off as you're putting it in.
No, it's...
That better? Good. If the helicoil will go in even most of the way, I reckon it'll be enough to hold it.
Get off there.
What's it doing?
It's stuck.
Oh. What, the handle's stuck?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just wind it down with that then. How can that be stuck?
I don't know.
Well, maybe if you snap the tang off, it'll come out.
It will, but it won't be. It's... Where's the bolt gone? It was on here.
What bolt?
The bolt for you.
I don't know.
There it is.
You don't get to put that in. These are new ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should have seen my old ones.
So if I break this and it messes it up, then I'm not going to be able to get it out.
What if you break what? The handle?
No, the tang at the bottom.
You might blast it out. It'll drop one. Is it a bottomless hole? Is it a hole right through?
No.
Well, it doesn't matter as long as it's in there.
But we want the bolt to be able to go all the way through. Oh. Some leverage on it. Isn't that pretty good?
Not much of a lever though.
I don't want to.
No, but it's... Yeah. Over that, Rob.
I'm breaking.
Well, I don't understand how it can get caught.
It's not right. I'm not going to do that.
Maybe I'll unwind it out again then. Will it go out? Oh, I think it's just gone, isn't it?
Snap, but this is still stuck. Something's just snapped anyway.
Hope it's not the end of that handle.
This is winding, so...
Is it coming out?
See? It's closed up on it.
Ah. That's probably because it's narrower at the bottom.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Try the bolting and see what happens here. Do you want to give it a quick blast out, Rob?
Yeah, may as well.
Try. Watch your eyes, though. Yeah, watch your eyes. Something came out. It landed on that cloth, whatever it was.
pockets first.
As long as it clamps down, it doesn't matter. Well, it's looking better, isn't it? You want the 10 mil?
Yeah.
I don't know where it went.
I've got it here.
You've gone tight.
Yeah.
Oh, it's looking better. The bolt should go down the middle of the hole, it should be fine.
Should. Bit tight there.
Is it tightening up?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Is that all the way down?
I can't tell. It looks like it's squashing the rubber.
Nah, there's a gap. One tight before it got to the bottom.
We're going to have to drill it further, aren't we?
Shouldn't need to. Yeah, that's tight now.
Yeah, right. I was only worried about the one in the corner, and you've resolved that anyway.
Yeah, that's...
I didn't even look at the bolt.
No, I can tell.
Is it tight? I think that'll be tight enough, Rob.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll go around them
That's
and check
like
them.
properly tight now.
All right.
And I watched the rubber squish down, so...
So we can get this one out there. We might need to pull on it with a pair of long noses or something. I've got some extra long nose pliers in here if that helps.
That's fine.
I'm worried about you.
It's fine, leave it.
I know, but I'm worried that you're going to break it.
I'm not.
You just check the thread on that. Is it the same?
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay. So that's bad, that one. Put it down here. Should be able to. It's probably going to have the same problem, isn't it? With the drill.
Probably.
Oh, it's better.
Have a look at now. Full of silicone.
Is it? Does it need to come out?
Trying to make sure that there's not a...
There's not a helicoil in there. I know there isn't.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, there's a helicoil in that one at the back there, and maybe this one here. Now, I'm looking at that bolt down there. That's not fully down either. Down the back. I need to just check that. Can I borrow that a minute?
Alright. Spray the metal out of this holder.
Okay.
You can spray the metal out.
That's right. I had my glasses on, so it isn't too bad. to give that a clean out and maybe there's something in it.
So,
Something in there is causing this to go a bit funny. Maybe take a picture in there and have a look, see what's going on.
once I do this, we can have a look.
Take the cap out. I just noticed it wasn't fully down, you know.
I reckon that'll be far enough in. These should be bottom taps, really, shouldn't they?
They should, yeah. They should be flat bottom taps. They're taper taps, aren't they?
So that makes sense.
Starting taps or second tap.
That one went in further, so
Oh, good.
should be alright. The problem with these things is they're pretty
Give it a
cheap and
blast.
nasty. Yeah.
What, the helicopter kits?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to check it every time you take the rubber down there. Could be worth buying a new kit.
I could do that. I'll buy a new helicopter kit. But get one with a brand name. I'll wait till I've been paid and I'll get a decent one.
Oh, I wouldn't spend.
No, but it's $100 instead of
I think-
40.
I think this cost me 20. You know.
Yeah, so I think we should spend a little bit more.
Just be careful you don't end up paying more for the same thing.
No, I know that, yeah. But it's a bit like that and that, isn't it? That cost me $60, that cost me like 15.
Yeah. Hey, paying a bit of money is okay. It's just
As long as you get a brand name.
as long as it's worth it. I don't think a brand name even matters. I think as long as it's a good quality product. Like I shouldn't have to pry this in and out. It should just stop.
It should be, it's probably not hardened that.
Hmm.
And it should be. I might do something with this wire this time. It looks like it needs wrapping up a little bit better, doesn't it?
I always got good on these things.
Yeah, but I've got a bit of tape on it, look, and it's not. What's the matter? Oh, where did it go? I'm forever dropping stuff, Rob. I won't bother too much.
I've only got
Yeah,
half a
pull
dozen
away.
of these left.
I'll pull away. I'm going to buy some more though, but I'll pull away, and there'll be like a pile of stuff on the floor. It's never a good idea to use.
That's upside down there.
This has got some sort of plastic on it, just all brittle. It's that sleeving, isn't it, that's gone hard.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
I could break that with a pair of pliers. And I will.
Where's this guy got the plane going there? Need to start cooking soon. Otherwise you'll be
Right.
hungry. Where's my dinner?
I won't.
Rob, you didn't do my washing and put it in my drawer.
Your mum put it in the bathroom for me.
Oh, you're a lucky boy.
Yeah, I got up on Monday morning and my washing was all ready to go in the bathroom. That's what your mum used to do.
It's done it again.
Got stuck again.
Mm.
Oh, cutters on these.
I can't see if it's far enough. I guess it is.
You don't have much choice.
I didn't actually do it. It was just a bit tight.
Mm.
So that means I have to get my other tool out.
Your other tool?
Yeah, the one we didn't need before because it didn't work properly. It's broken up for us.
Hey?
You don't need another one.
Don't think so. Have you got the bag? Well, we don't know. There might be that one at the back, Rob. I don't know what's up with it yet. We'll have a look. Really can't snip. Must have some snips somewhere.
Let's do a.
Huh?
You actually set the depth on those things so you don't wind it in too far.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. So this is my mistake. This was done before we bought that loom tape on the show. It was a good purchase, that loom tape. It's pretty good.
I told you.
I don't like that split. That's obviously why that was on there.
We got the bolt for this one.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's alright. That feels better. Maybe one with longer drill bits even. Although it's only
some sort of tool that extended drill bit. So what's that happened to that there? That's the insulation that's come off.
That's nice and tight.
I'm going to fix that.
Even tighter. Which one are we looking at now, Dad?
I've got the bolt out of it at the back, underneath the pipe. There's a footstool thing. It's not as tall, but just wanted to look inside it.
What are we looking for?
To see why it won't tighten down. There might be something in there, I don't know. Might be its threads, could be anything. I'm just snipping upstairs to get the new electric connectors. What does that little wire do?
What wire?
The one that goes brittle.
That's the egg.
Yeah, but what does it do? Does it turn it on and off?
Yeah, it just powers the compressor.
Because it's not going to work if it shorts out, is it? It's going to short out there. So I either need to wrap that up or...
I don't know what I'm looking at there. It's full of silicon.
Is it? I think I should get in there and clean. That's probably what's causing it to get tight then, isn't it? I didn't put that much silicon around it, so it just goes tight, Rob.
Well, it won't go all the way in.
No. I didn't put that much silicon in there.
Is it an original bolt?
Nah, the original bolt was damaged.
Is
Is
the bolt too long?
They're all the same length, aren't they?
Well, only
What's
if it
your
came
eyes?
from a rock.
Not much came out of there.
Yeah, only if it came out of a rocket cover.
Well, that is a rocker cover bolt.
Okay.
I looked at that and I replaced it. I think it's the silicon that's stopping it going in.
Need something to poke through.
I'll get in with a... I usually use that scriber.
Damaging me scriber.
Hey?
Oh, you damaging me scriber? I don't know.
Well, I'm not. I'll bring that. Yeah, I'll bring this instead.
Oh, you can use it.
Huh?
I'll just give it a crap.
I wasn't damaging the scribe. I used it for
I know you
cleaning the silicone. Is it clean now? I didn't see anything come out when I blasted it.
It's got to be a dicky bit of thread if the bolt's not too long.
Well, it's the same length bolt that came out. It could be a dicky bit of thread, because the other one came out with the threads all clean at the bottom. See what I mean? It's cleaning them up. Should we run the tap down it? We got a tap. From your tap and die set, I guess. Just going to fix this cable up because I don't want it shorting out. When I come out of work, I need this aircon.
Might be a bit connected.
So I need to buy a tap and die set as well. I'll be one more likely to be 1.25 or 1.5, wouldn't it?
Not on the 6 minute. That's him. Yeah. I just need something to.
Gonna run it down.
Old matey.
That's a bit better. You think I should run that down all the way to the bottom there? I think I will. Bye bye. I wonder how many places I'm having to fly over. The roulettes, the red and white. I'm pleased about that. Now I feel happy that the rocker cover's on.
It feels tight to me.
Does it look like it's gone right down?
I think so. Have a go yourself.
I don't want my torches. No, I just want to. No, there was a gap. I didn't want the gap. I believe you've turned it up. Yeah, it's gone down. That's fantastic, that, Rob. Thank you ever so much. Hang on, you've left something on there. What's that? No, thank you. I'll give it a blast out. Turbo's still going well, isn't it?
Yeah, that was your
It was the $200 one. Not sure I was surprised at, but it's still working, all right. It'll be in the drill, won't it?
Yeah, and there's another one.
Oh, the other one. Oh, that's the new one, I think. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I did the rockers on my own, didn't I? Clearances. 5 clearances. Well, you don't think it's going to work? Well, they can't be worse than they were.
I don't know if it's tight because of the thread or if it's tight because... But usually I don't even use these size ratchets on them because it puts too much torque.
That's why I'm holding it over the top of it.
Well, I do that with a little one.
Yeah. Well, you've got them much tighter than I would tighten them.
Yeah. I was surprised they were tight. But like that one was tight before I got it down.
It might not leak this time. I haven't put that back on yet, Rob, because
I just didn't. I took it off and didn't know if you know.
No, I just sat it on there out of the way. Right, I can put it back together then.
Yeah, that back one feels alright. So.
Yeah, they all do. I might stick this in my ugly dugger bag. Where's the rest of it go? There.
I had some good prices at Costco on them.
Yeah.
Now you can buy the sets.
It's always cheaper when you buy a set, isn't it?
Yeah, but they were even cheaper. They were like it was like $500
for everything.
Yeah, for like DeWalt. I think it was like circular saw, a drill, an impact driver, some other bits and pieces like a torch or something. I can't remember, but it was a good price.
Having said, you know, you think DeWalt's a good name, but having watched Project.
It's okay.
Yeah, but they don't always come out on top.
No,
And you'd think they would, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't expect them to. No.
But do you know what normally comes out on top? Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's biased or anything, but he does show you his results. And
That doesn't surprise me at all.
usually the fuel stuff.
We didn't even need to take that off in the end.
No. But we would have done had I Had I checked the bolt before, I wouldn't even had a problem with it.
Yeah, I just took it out, looked at the bolt, and said, "Oh, no wonder that's not going in." And I went and got another bolt out.
But the thing is, I could have just put that in. I would have taken them all out, put them down, and just picked them up randomly.
Yeah.
And they're all the same length. Right, so that's good. So now I can put it all back together. And I've even done this. Some loom tape round that. What thing?
He wants me to cut that
Alright.
1/4 inch driver and cut an SDS driver and weld them together.
Right. I'll do it for it. Never know, I might give you more. Pay you a bit.
Well, he paid me when I did his trailer, he gave me $200.
Right.
Oh,
Probably cost him a lot less than it would getting somebody in though.
yeah.
I can't remember where I'm at with this now. I need to put that sponge cover on and the plastic cover. Right, hi everybody, how are you going? This is the D-Day +2 video, as it turns out to be, because it's Anzac Day and I've got a day off. What we've done, Rob's come and help me, and we've discovered that the back, the rear, this one down here, Rob discovered that there was no threads on the bolt. When he replaced the bolt with another one, it screwed straight in, so that was never actually stripped. So that was a good thing. And you can see why people don't bother putting this back on, because it is a bit of a pain. Right, I need to fix that first. Got a bit of the outer layer is coming off. The pipe itself is fine. It's just the outer layer is coming off. It's probably got caught on something. And it's cut it. Now just put that around it. Just protects it a little bit. It's good. So that one went well. Rob managed to fix that one. The second one back here, we had to drill and helicoil that. And the one on the front corner needed drilling and helicoiling, but they're both really tight now and they've gone really, really well. You can't beat a good helicoil kit, I have to say. The next thing I'm going to clean up is this. This is a cam sensor. I need a screwdriver to get it off. There we go. And as you can see, this is why you never use electrical insulation tape in under the bonnet, because it just goes brittle and falls off. And it's been wrapped around the end of this insulation and it's just not working. So we'll take that off and then we'll use some proper tape on it. So when Rob and I went to the 4x4 show, there was a stand selling this stuff. This is loom tape, and I've also got oil resistant loom tape too. We bought about 10 rolls for $15 at the show in a special offer, and it is really good because it doesn't go dry. It doesn't seem very sticky, but it does stick, and when you try and take it off, it's practically impossible. Alright, so contact cleaner, give it a clean out. Can't beat the old contact cleaner. It's better anyway. Plastic cover now. So the plastic cover is the next pain in the arse thing, because the rubber hoses get in the way and it won't go down the back. So loving the money. And that pipe needs to fit in that slot there. And oh, no, it's nearly on. It's not quite right, but it's not far off. The hard part with this, that's what the problem is. We put that plug back on. I shouldn't have done that. You need to remove the stepper motor plug to do this, because it just gets in the way. It's easier with it undone. Right, let's have another try. Okay, I think that's it on. Stepper motor plug can go back on. That's in its hole, that wire's through the right place. That cable needs to go up through that slot. It's looking good. Except for one thing. I've forgotten to put the high pressure oil pipe back on. So that means I've got it now. That's why it went on easy, isn't it? Because it knows I've got to take it all off again. Put the high pressure oil pipe back on. Yeah. Lesson learned. You've got to check the O-rings. Make sure they're clean. In this case, I'll spray the brake cleaner onto the cloth and then just rub it around in there to make sure it's clean. And the O-ring's still in there. If you change these O-rings, you need to use Viton O-rings. I have changed these in the past. I did put one on. I was taking the dog to the groomers, and when I got there I was pouring oil out. I had to go find some oil to put in and whatever. And what I discovered was I was missing an O-ring on the high pressure oil pipe. Don't know what happened to it. Put a new O-ring in and everything was fine. I might give that a wash. Better. Quick wipe down. So you know what I'm going to say next? Dielectric grease. O-ring and rubber seal lubricant. It's going on that O-ring in there. Going on that O-ring down there. And it's going on that new seal in the rocker cover there. Let's fit the pipe on. All I need to know is where I put it. The other important job is to make sure those surfaces that we're going to mate up against the gaskets are clean. I'll show you them in a sec. Okay, so that surface there and that surface there, they've got to be clean. Right, I found that the best way to do this is to put the bottom on while pushing that through the hole. Of course, this is going to be tight. It's a new one. Okay, so the bottom one started. This top one in now, so we need the... Don't forget you need the 27mm open ender to get this in. If you haven't got one, go out and buy a 27mm open ender, because if you have to remove this pipe in the field, you won't have anything to fit it. Because no toolkit comes with a 27mm open ender. I actually bought this at the car yard when we were visiting. It cost me $28 or something. Good quality one. Ozito, I never heard of them, but salute. You might be able to hear in the background the Anzac parade. Being an ex-serviceman, you'd think I'd go to it, wouldn't you? But I've got other things to do today. I'm playing God Save the Queen there. while they're doing the American national anthem. Who knows why? These things are sent to triers, and tried as they do. 9 times out of 10, this plug just pulls straight off. There we go. That's better. It's back on now. That's in the right place. And that's in the right place too. Quick look at that, because I think there might be a split in my air intake. They don't last very long, these pipes. Yeah, there's a hole in it. I have to do something with it before I can put that back on. Okay, so as you can see, there's a split in the end of the air intake in a couple of places, so I'm going to have to do something with that. So the first thing to do is to clean it up with a brake cleaner. Always works a treat. Bit of cloth. So it looks like I'm going to have to find another one of these eventually. I might give that a clean as well. I'm going to clean all the way around. I don't think we have another one of these. If we do, it's probably in worse condition than this one. So I think I'm going to have to repair it. Now, how am I going to do that, I wonder? Check I haven't got one first. This is called self-amalgamating tape. It's not sticky. It sticks to itself. So I might try a bit of this to see if this will resolve the problem. So how you apply this is you peel back the plastic film. It keeps it clean. I may have to hold it on all the way around because it has to get around to itself to stick on it again. I need to pull it tighter than that, otherwise it won't stick. I might just put another layer around. That should do it. It's all a bit of a mess. The Jubilee clip here is all greased up and a bit disgusting. Probably it's because it's been leaking. But hopefully that will resolve the problem. Now I'm going to make sure I get this on right, otherwise I won't be able to tighten it up. It's going to go on like that. So that needs to be there. Okay. So what I've done, I put the tape on too tight and I've made the hole too small. It won't now fit over the top. Take the tape off and do it again. See how much we've got left now. I've got some white and grey stuff, probably just enough. What I won't do is stretch it as much this time. Right, not long enough. We've got the air intake pipe back on. Just going to connect that up. We've got the bracket back on for the intercooler. The original bracket's still there. We've got the plastic bolted on. It's all looking good so far. Now I need to find the pipe that goes on that, which is sitting underneath. That pipe goes back onto there. Clip on. And then intercooler pipe goes back on that. And that one goes back on that. Take that end off. Pop it over that. And push this pipe back on. Maybe should have put this pipe back on before I did the brackets for the intercooler, but we'll manage. Yeah, now this one is really pushed on a bit harder. There we are. The clamp's coming apart. Right, let's find my screwdriver and right, that's that back on. Intercooler next. I did notice when we took the intercooler off that this part was a bit dirty here. It looks like this pipe's been blowing. Now that's a replacement pipe and never been that happy with it. So we might have to have a look at that. Maybe get another one. Okay, it's all finished, all put back together. What I need to do now is I need to run the engine now. Just bear with me because it's going to take a while to start. Got to get the oil back up through the high pressure oil pipe, etc. Just sort of fill the garage up with smoke. That's obviously from not having any fuel, etc., any oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the car. I'll just wash my hands. I'm going to move the car, pull the car out here so it can start up out here and be smoky outside.
Try disguising the chew in a good smelling food, or better yet.
So what I'm doing now, I'll get the radio turned off, is I'm going to enter the data into the for the injector I've put in, okay, and remove the one that I don't have. So what I need is the pictures I took. I'll turn it off and leave the engine running. Now I don't have to do this, so you have to bear with me a second. That's the one I've put in. No, it's not there. Diagnostics, have a look in there then. Ignition is on. Right. Programming. Read, store, trim data. So, this is the category of injectors I'm having at the moment. So, what was in the it says what was in was a C1, but it doesn't look like a C1 to me. Could be wrong. No. Program trim data. Confirm. Injector exchanged. Cylinder number 4. Trim data for this cylinder, yes. So it says category. How do you know? I believe there's a bit of paper you need. Right, I'll just go get that. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've got some information off the internet, and it says that I have a C1 injector. So what you do is you take a picture of the top of your injector, and the little 2 numbers at the bottom where it says 45 on this one, I don't know if you can see that. It says 45 right at the bottom. That is what you use. Now you need the little chart to take that number off. I've got the chart and I'll put it in the Patreon page if anybody needs it. So you're going to here and it says injectors exchanged. You tell it which one has been exchanged. Do you want to program a trim data for yes? And I've got a C1. Yes, program. Program is successful. Confirm. No. So now I need to read and store the trim data. Okay, so I've got an A3, a B2, a B2 and a C1. Let's talk about valve clearances. So we know we need feeler gauges. We know we need a good helicoil kit because you're bound to strip something on that bloody rocker cover. I have to say though, once you get the helicoils in, it tightens up really, really well. I think maybe the aluminium just gets soft over a period of time and that's what the issue is. What else will you need? You'll need shims. If you're going to do valve clearances, you'll need shims. We've got a box full of shims and I've pretty much exhausted them today, or yesterday, or Sunday, whenever it is I did the shims. Because all my exhaust valves were 20. Well, the 25 is 20 is within spec. All my inlet valves were too narrow. If you take out, what you have to do is you measure the gap on the rocker, on the cam. So you get the cams off the bucket, so the lobes are pointing upwards. And you rotate the engine until all of them do that, and then you measure underneath the cam, between the cam and the bucket and the shim. And whatever that measurement is, if it's too narrow, you've got to put a narrower shim in, but you've got to make the gap bigger. So it's the gap between the cam and the shim that you're interested in. So let's say, for argument's sake, you measure that and it's 0.10. Now that's within spec. It's only just in spec, but it's in spec. Now, if you measure smaller than that, so let's say 0.6, you write that down. You write that down for all of your measurements on all of the valves, so you know which one's which. And then what you do, you get your special tool that holds down the cams, that holds down the buckets. So you rotate the engine so the cams are pointing down, so the valves are open, and the buckets are at their lowest point. You then put the tool in that holds the buckets down but allows the shims to rotate. Now, we made a tool to do this. It's not hard. I don't know of a tool that will do this. There might be something out there, but anyway, it is what it is. And then you rotate the cam again until the buckets are pointed. Well, they won't actually go to straight up, because what happens is the valve is stayed down because the tool's holding the valve open. The piston comes up and hits the valve, so it won't go that far. So you've got to be careful. But once the cams are off the buckets, so the shims will rotate by hand if you can take them out. Now there's a little notch. Now when you do your measuring and the cams are off the buckets pointing upwards, you can rotate the buckets by hand. They'll turn in the slot, dead easy. Find the little notch, make sure it's pointing forwards. Then when you push it down, you'll need to insert something in there. Now, I got a piece of welding wire and I hammered it flat, and that was enough to be able to get to leave. What you're trying to do is you're trying to break the seal, the oil seal that's underneath the shim. There's oil under there, and you're trying to break that seal. Once the seal's gone, you need to pull the shim out with a little magnet. Now, we've got a tiny little magnet on a piece of welding wire. You could use the same piece of welding wire, hammer down the end flat, and use both ends, one with the magnet on and one to lever it out. Once you got the shim out, if it's an original shim, underneath it'll read, there'll be a number like something like 292, 294, 296, and more than likely, unless they've been done, that will be from the factory, so they'll have numbers on. If they haven't got numbers on, you're going to have something to measure them with, and a micrometer is better than a vernier for this. So now you know that your shim, your clearance is say 0.5. It's 0.5 below spec. It's 0.10 below average. It's 0.1 below average, should I say, not 0.10. So what you need to do is you need to put in a shim that is one less than the one you took out. So if you take 298 out and you've got 288, fantastic. That's it, gets you back exactly to the spec. However, chances are you're not going to have them. You may have some, you may have to order some. So what you might have to do is strip down, take all the shims out and measure them, so you know what's in there. And when you know what's in there, you know what to order. So if you have to order them, you take them out, measure them, put them back in. If you've got a shim that's lower, so if you take a 298 out and you've got a 294, at least that gives you some back while you get a new shim. So you have to order some new shims, and you have to order them to the thickness that you want. Now that's an expensive way of doing it. It's better to have an old engine and get the shims out. Which is what we've done. We've got like 4-cylinder heads, so we've got all the shims out of all of them. So we've got quite a number, about 48. which is about normal. So if you're lucky and you've got the right shims, I got lucky because one of mine that was a 0.7 out, 0.07, sorry. I took it out and I had a 294. Now all the others have been 296, 298, and I didn't have a 284. But I had a 288. But it only put me up to 0.13. But it put me up to 0.13. So that worked. It was better than the 0.5 that I had in there, the 0.7 I had in there originally. So what you need to do is, if you have to buy shims and you replace them, write down what you put in. That way, next time you come to checking your shims, your valve clearances, you know what shims you've got and you can order appropriately. Now, if anybody finds a supplier of shims, I'd like to know. Because you can buy them individually, cost about $10 each. That is a damned expensive way of changing shims. So if you can buy a kit of shims, say several sizes, so maybe 24, 48 shims or something like that, and they're all different sizes, that might be the better way to go. So if anybody finds that, please let me know, because I'd like to order some too. If when you're reassembling, you'll need a gasket set. Now, if it's anything like my engine was, you'll need the gasket kit, because the gasket kit comes with the half moon seals and the new sort of, I don't know what you would call them really, spigots, pegs, where the bolts go through. Mine were completely shot. Obviously mine had never been changed, and now they're all new. You can use your old ones, if they're reasonable, in the top where the plastic shield goes, because they don't seal anything. But around the head, around the rocker cover, around the cam cover, that does seal. So you need to I can't think what I'm saying. I've lost my train of thought. Yes, so you need to replace the ones on the cam cover, and they'll help you seal. Now, chances are you're going to strip a thread when you try and tighten it up, especially if you try and torque it down. But I would advise against torquing it down. The first time I tried that, I stripped the thread straight out. So if you strip the ones at the back, in reality, the only way to get access to it is take the head off. And you don't want the expense of putting a new head and taking the head off, because you've got to buy new head bolts, a new head gasket, and all that sort of thing. You've got all the work to do. It's a lot of work. I mean, you could do it on a pillar drill and you'll get it more accurate, but it's still a lot of work. You don't want to do that unless you have to. So I bought a right angle drill. As it turned out, we didn't need it, but I've got it now, and it's definitely a bonus to have a right angle drill. I bought the Irwin kit from Bunnings. It cost me $80, and I got 2 heads and a flexible drive. They do sell it with just the head, and that comes in at about $70. Excuse me, I'm just drinking my coffee. So hopefully you won't damage the ones in the rear corners. They're pretty good, those. They're a bit more solid in the corners than they are on the edges, I think. I think there's a bit more material there. The next thing you're going to need some silicone of some sort, some silicone sealant. You need to silicone in the half moon seals, and you need to silicone in the half moon seal that's around the harness. Now, there is a number of products on the market. It's called RTV, and RTV gasket maker. And there are a number of products on the market, and I've used a few, but the stuff that I like to use, and it's not cheap, is the right stuff. It's by I can't remember who makes it now. I showed it on the video anyway. So use the right stuff if you can. If you can't afford it, then just get a good quality RTV that you can put onto the. So what I did, I put some into the rocker cover, the cam cover, and what that does is it allows me to put the gasket in place and let it sit in there, and it seals. However, you must silicone over the top of the half-moon seals or it's going to leak. And on the front of the engine where the dome part is, either edge of that, on the edges of where the dome meets the standard rocker cover head or the cylinder head, that will leach out there too, so you must seal that. Once they're done, you're pretty much finished. It looked to me like I had a problem with one of the air intake pipes onto the intercooler, and it looked like it had been leaking. So I replaced it with its original that I'd replaced anyway and put it back in, and I think that's a better pipe. When I did Rob's car, not my son Rob, but the other Rob, he was telling me that he'd replaced 2 of his pipes and they were porous and they would seep oil out through them. Well, that's not good. It really doesn't need to do that. So I put the original pipe back on, and I think that works quite well. Now, what else do we need? I think that's about it, really. You will need, if you're doing injectors, you'll need a torque wrench, or a like I've got the little torque meter. If you're not doing injectors, you won't need that because you can't really torque down the cam cover bolts, because you'll just strip them. So don't skimp on the quality of the gasket either. Make sure you get a reasonable one. Mine was the Japanese one. Nothing like the sound of a V8, even if it is a Ford. And a manual at that. I might start the engine up. Now listen to how quick the engine starts now. I'll put the aircon on because I'm a bit warm. Recirculate. Window. That's the problem with radios, isn't it? They won't shut up. So, to summarise everything we've done, the injector went fairly smoothly. The cam cover was a pain in the butt. I actually had I forgot to tell you, I actually had a fourth. The cam bolts that went were all down the left hand side as you look from the front of the car. There was the rear corner, the rear front corner, and the second one back on the left. I actually had a problem with the third one back on the right hand side as well. It wouldn't go down fully. We had to run a tap down the hole. I think it was full of silicone and crap. And anyway, that's good now. Turned out that the back corner, the one I bought the drill for, didn't have any thread on the bolt, so it was never going to tighten up. So we replaced the bolt, and that works now. So we only had to helicoil 2, which was the front corner and the second or third one back. I can't remember which it is. But they're good now. They're nice and tight. and working a tree. So the valve clearances took longer. They took about 4 hours, but what scuppered the whole point, the thing, and made it last 3 days was, one, I had to go to work on the Monday, and I was tired when I got home, but two, it's Anzac Day today. This is Tuesday. Anzac Day today, and I've had the day off, so I managed to be able to, with Rob's help, managed to do the helicoiling. Now, when I got Rob to help me, it wasn't because I couldn't do it myself. It was because he works in engineering and he's drilling and tapping things all the time. Whereas I haven't done it for a good while, and although I know how to do it, I'm not so certain I would do as good a job as Rob did. So that's why I got him to help me. He helped me with the helicoiling, and then I've done the rest myself. Anyway, so I think we can knock this on the head now. I think we've finished. I do have a problem with that gauge. It's stuck around at 9, so I'm going to go home now and strip that down, and it means taking this panel off again and have a look at the electrics, because between that and this gauge, this fuel gauge down here, which is reading full, it is full, but the problem is it should be green, not white, and that means that there's no power from 12 volt power from a certain area. So anyway, I'm going to head home and I'll see you out there.